Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something big, a new playbook for tech dominance. It's a system that's all about picking winners and fast-tracking the next wave of breakthroughs. And honestly, it could really shake up how the entire tech world works.
So, how does a whole country get a leg up and basically dominate the next wave of tech? It's a huge question, right? Well, China thinks it's cracked the code. And this isn't just a small move. It's something that could fundamentally change the game for how tech is built and sold everywhere.
And we're not just talking about throwing more money at R&D. No, this is way more strategic. It's about building a machine, a literal playbook for turning cool lab ideas into real commercial powerhouses. It's about picking the winners before they're even on anyone's radar. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do they do that? Okay, so first things first, why build a system like this at all? Well, for a long time, China has been an absolute giant in R&D, at least by the numbers. We're talking mountains of research papers, millions of patents. But there was this one nagging problem that just wouldn't go away.
Think of it like this. They had tons and tons of seeds, but not enough of them were actually growing into fruit-bearing trees. There was this huge gap between the lab bench and the actual marketplace. So this new strategy is a total pivot. It's about shifting the focus away from just counting seeds, the patents and papers, and instead measuring the harvest, the real-world impact, and, the killer products that lead the market.
And this change came straight from the top. The directive was basically, we need a better way to filter our best ideas. I love this metaphor they used, a conductor's baton. The whole idea is to find, coordinate, and really amplify the best of the best innovations to make sure they're not just academically interesting, but are actually hitting major economic and industrial targets. So what makes a technology good in this new system? Well, it's not just about how fast it is or how cool the tech is on paper. Nope. It's much, much bigger than that. It's about painting a full picture of an idea's total, all-around impact. The way they do this is by looking at a technology through 5 different lenses, 5 dimensions of value. This creates a kind of holistic scorecard, a much deeper way of seeing what an innovation is really worth. Let's walk through them. Okay, first up is scientific value. This is the really foundational stuff. We're talking about pure, new knowledge. Is this a genuine aha moment? A discovery that's so fundamental it could kickstart a whole new field of science. Maybe not even for years, but for decades to come. Next, you've got technical value. Now, this one's super important. It's really the engine of the whole evaluation. This is where you get into the nitty-gritty, the hard numbers. How new is it really? How advanced? And crucially, how ready is it for the real world? We're going to circle back and dig into this one a bit more in just a sec. Third, and this is a big one for anyone thinking about business, is its economic value. Bottom line, can you make money with it? Can it be commercialized? Can it scale? This is all about taking a cool piece of tech and turning it into a real market advantage that actually drives economic growth. Then there's number 4, social value. This asks a different question. Can this tech actually make people's lives better? Can it tackle big societal problems in areas like healthcare, public safety, or maybe the environment? It's really a measure of how much it gives back to society as a whole. And last but not least, number 5 is cultural value. This one's a bit more abstract. Does a breakthrough project help build up the country's reputation as a hotbed for innovation? Because when you have these big, successful projects, they become symbols. They get people excited and inspire a whole new generation, which creates this amazing feedback loop of creativity. All right, remember I said we'd come back to technical value. Let's do that now. How do you measure something like that objectively? Well, the system uses a really clear 3-part framework. You can think of it as the 3D tech scorecard. And like I said, this is really the engine room of the whole thing. So, what are the 3 dimensions? They are readiness, novelty, and performance. Together, these give you a standard, consistent way to size up a technology's potential. It's kind of like a super detailed due diligence checklist, but for an entire country's R&D. Let's start with readiness. This is measured using a scale that's actually pretty common in tech circles, the Technology Readiness Level, or TRL scale. As you can see here, it basically sorts projects by how mature they are, from just a basic idea all the way up to being completely ready for the market. This is huge for investors, right? Because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the equation and makes it super clear how much more work needs to be done. Okay, next up is novelty. This is all about figuring out how new the idea actually is. Is it a total game changer, creating a brand new way of doing things? Or is it a smart mashup of existing tech? Or is it just a small improvement on what's already out there? Knowing this is absolutely crucial for figuring out its IP value and whether it has the potential to truly disrupt an industry or just be another player. And this slide perfectly shows the third piece of the puzzle, performance. This is where the rubber meets the road. You take the technology's key specs, things like speed, efficiency, cost, and you put them head to head with the best of the best out there, anywhere in the world. So it's not about just being good. It's about proving you are quantifiably, measurably better than what anyone else is doing. Okay, so let's say a technology aces this whole evaluation. It gets a great score across the board. What happens next? This is where things get really interesting, because this is where the system's real power kicks in, turning that score into actual momentum in the market. Think of a good evaluation report as a catalyst, a turbo boost. It's not some dusty academic paper that sits on a shelf. No way. It's a flashing green light for investors, telling them, hey, this asset has been checked out. It's lower risk. That, of course, helps unlock funding. It also cuts through a lot of the red tape in licensing deals and basically acts as a national stamp of approval. The whole thing is designed to grease the wheels and fast-track it to market. The takeaway here is pretty clear. The entire process, from start to finish, is engineered for one single goal: getting to a successful commercial launch. That evaluation report, it isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for its life out in the real world. All right, let's zoom out. What does all this mean for the rest of us? Why should a tech professional, an investor, or an entrepreneur sitting in, say, Silicon Valley or Berlin care about this? Well, the ripple effects and the strategic implications here are actually pretty huge. What we're really looking at is the creation of a powerful, systematic innovation pipeline. Its whole purpose is to find the best ideas, de-risk them, and put them on the fast track before they even show up on the global scene. So, if you're an investor or a competitor anywhere else in the world, these scores, they're about to become a new, incredibly important signal to watch. They're a leading indicator that tells you which technologies have serious backing and are being prepped for success. It's a massive shift, from innovation by accident or by volume to innovation by design. And that brings us to a really provocative question. Does this kind of system signal the end of the classic garage to riches startup story? I mean, this is a direct challenge to that whole Silicon Valley model of chaotic, messy, market-driven innovation. What you have is a showdown, a structured, top-down approach versus the more spontaneous, bottoms-up ethos we all know so well. Which one is going to win out and define the next era of tech? Honestly, the answer to that question is going to shape the future for all of us.